is RTV6 News at Noon, working for you.
3 more homicides happening within 3 hours in Indianapolis. Police at this hour investigating gunfire happening in several parts of the city this morning. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole Griffin. It's been a violent day for parts of Indianapolis as gunfire leads to yet another boost in the city's record homicide rate for the year. The latest of 3 shootings happened just over 3 hours ago near 25th and Emerson on the northeast side. This happened in the parking lot of the business that houses a BP gas station and a McDonald's restaurant. Metro Police say a man was found dead at the scene, and so far no suspect information has been released. The first 2 homicides in the city today happened within minutes of each other around 6:30 this morning. First, police were called to Moeller Road near West 42nd Street. Officers found a man at that scene dead due to a gunshot wound. We are told that gunfire was reported in that area last night, but at the time, police did not find anything suspicious. And around the same time, police were called to another shooting on the south side of Indianapolis. This one happened on Powell Street, west of US 31. That's also just south of I-465. That shooting victim was also dead at the scene. So far, Metro Police have not released any information about what led to any of those 3 shootings. And according to RTV6's count, today's shooting gives Indianapolis 141 homicides so far this year. As you can see, that's well ahead of the pace set last year. In 2019, the city did not reach 100 homicides until August 23rd. And of course, we went on to set a record last year with 171 homicides. We are now just 30 away from that total. And we are working for you to help you find out more about what's going on in your neighborhood. You can learn more about each of this year's homicides and the status of each investigation with our interactive homicide map. You can find it at theindychannel.com and the RTV6 app. IU and Purdue football fans are going to be in for a long fall. The Big Ten is postponing its entire fall sports season due to the COVID-19 pandemic. That includes the entire football schedule and the Big Ten championship game that was scheduled for Lucas Oil Stadium. The conference had initially planned to play a reduced schedule of conference-only games, but last week a group representing more than 1,000 Big Ten athletes issued a list of demands. They include a promise to honor an athlete's scholarship if they opted out of playing because of concerns over the coronavirus. Big Ten university presidents have not said whether those demands were a factor in their decision. Now to your Storm Team 6 forecast. Meteorologist Todd Clausen joining us. And Todd, if you're heading out for lunch or for a walk, the weather's pretty decent outside.
Yeah, you know, Nicole, not bad at all. It's seasonable for this time of year, and eventually we'll climb up into the 80s later on this afternoon. Right now, temperatures, though, still sitting in the 70s in many locations, and we keep toggling back and forth between partly to mostly cloudy skies. 78 in Indy right now, 75 in Tipton, Bloomington, and Terre Haute, as well as Sullivan and Connorsville, already cracking that 80-degree mark. And with more in the way of sunshine heading our way here this afternoon, these temperatures easily climb into the 80s for just about everybody. Here's the view from downtown to the north, and you can still see quite a bit in the way of cloud cover there as you look in that direction. And again, these clouds will thin at times throughout the course of the day, especially to the north. The further south you are, probably hang on to a little more in the way of cloud cover because you're just a little bit closer to this disturbance that is down to our south, and it keeps trying to push some showers in our direction. And if you live down in Mitchell or Bedford and Seymour, it's not out of the question you could see a sprinkle passing by, but that should be just about it. Otherwise, everybody else will trend partly sunny here this afternoon, Nicole, with a high temperature right around 84 to 85 degrees.
All right, Todd, thank you. The new numbers on COVID-19 are just in from the state health department. The state is reporting a drop-off in new cases, though there was also a big drop-off in the number of tests reported to the health department. 671 new cases were reported today, along with 15 new deaths. However, the number of people tested is just over half of the number typically tested in one day. The positive test rate was also virtually unchanged since yesterday. Some breaking news this midday. It does not appear that the moratorium on the cutoff of power and other utilities for non-payment will be extended through the end of this week. Today, the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission said it would not extend the ban on customer cutoffs for the utilities it regulates past this Friday, August 14th. We expect to hear more about the end of this moratorium as well as Friday's end of the state's ban on evictions when Governor Holcomb holds his weekly COVID-19 media briefing. You can watch that live at 2:30 here on RTV6 and at theindychannel.com. Democracy 2020 now, and the tickets are set for the race for the White House. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden naming Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate. It makes her the first black woman ever to run for vice president with a major party. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has more.
This morning, a first look at Democratic vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris.
I was raised to take action.
Harris tweeting her very first VP campaign ad after being added to the 2020 Democratic ticket and joining Joe Biden's bid for the White House.
Right now, America needs action.
Ahead of their first campaign event together in Delaware today, Biden reportedly called the California senator on video chat and asked her to run alongside him.
First of all, is the answer yes?
The answer is absolutely yes, Joe.
Harris makes history. The daughter of immigrants from Jamaica and India, she's both the first black woman and the first Asian American on a major party ticket and only the third woman to be chosen for vice president.
My mother was one of the greatest sources of inspiration in my life. I was taught that I had a responsibility to be a part of the fight for justice.
Biden selecting his one-time rival to be his running mate. It wasn't long ago that Harris challenged Biden in a crowded field of candidates jockeying for the Democratic Party nomination. President Trump pounced on his opponent's former friction.
She was very, very nasty to one of the reasons that surprised me. She was very disrespectful to Joe Biden.
But before he was president, Mr. Trump and his daughter Ivanka donated money to several of Harris's campaigns in California. Now Trump back on the attack, questioning Biden for choosing Harris.
It's hard to pick somebody that's that disrespectful.
Some of the other finalists for the VP job praised the pick. Former UN Ambassador Susan Rice called Harris a tenacious and trailblazing leader. Harris and Biden getting a jump start on the stump, holding their first event together less than 24 hours after the pick was announced. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Wilmington, Delaware.
Andrew, thank you. It may not be the month of May, but the engines are starting today at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Brad Brown is live there right now as the IndyCar drivers finally get to hit the track. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Nicole, we are on a little bit of a break right here in the first practice, but the sounds of May are here in August as we get started toward the 104th running of the Indianapolis 500. We're live at IMS with the debut of our Trackside 6 coverage coming up when the news at noon continues.
And the weather certainly cooperating for that first day of practice there at IMS as we are dealing with temperatures that'll be climbing into the 80s here this afternoon with clouds that'll continue to thin. That is the good news. And overall, it's a pretty seasonable stretch of weather heading our way. We'll dive into the forecast for you when the news at noon continues here on RTV6.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is Trackside 6.
Let's start with the car that will pace the field for the 104th running of the Indianapolis 500, unveiling the 2020 Corvette Stingray today in Pagoda Plaza. The 17th time that a Corvette will lead the field to green here at Indianapolis. 495 horsepower, the first ever mid-engine model of the iconic American sports car. Oh, and it looks so nice, too, as we count down toward August 23rd and race day here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedways. Well, we welcome back here live for the first time our Trackside 6 coverage. There's so many things that are strange about this right now. First of all, we are up here on top of the Tower Terrace standings. We're just north of the start-finish line. They've essentially set up a bubble with pit lane, gasoline alley, and the garage area that's open only to drivers and team members. So all of us on the media that are here inside the track will be kept kind of outside of that bubble, but this is kind of the area from where our coverage will be emanating from over the course of the next dozen days. As for the action on the track, they're getting started. You can hear it right behind me now. Practice number 1 getting underway here as we work our way through the next 3 days of practice and up to qualifying this weekend. Now, of course, the most noticeable thing the empty stands here at IMS. It is just interesting to look around here. We've been here on testing days before when this place has pretty much just got a handful of people here. And again, outside of the teams and the media, there's collectively maybe only 1,000 people on the entirety of the track right now. But that includes the 33 drivers that will attempt to win the Indianapolis 500 coming up on August 23rd. Now, practice will continue today. Let's take a look at the rest of the week as we go back to action here on Thursday and Friday. Each day is going to start at 11 a.m. and they'll practice up through 5:30. That'll work us toward qualifying coming up on Saturday. Again, there are only 33 cars entered in this year's race, so Saturday's qualifying session will just be everybody, and then the Fast 9 will come back on Sunday to run for the pole position, and they'll have the field set for the race on the 23rd. How about the defending champ, Simon Pagenaud? He knows it's good to be back here, but a little strange with the place empty.
It definitely is going to feel different. The energy is going to be different. It's going to be, unfortunately, it's going to feel flat. No reason but to think differently. It won't feel as energetic. It won't feel like it's going to be very different. But it still is the biggest race in the world and the fastest race in the world. And very excited to get going and to please people with competition. That's really what I'm looking forward to.
Pagenaud will be part of our first Trackside 6 special coming up tomorrow night at 7:30 as I have a look at the year that was for the defending race champion. The Penske era, of course, getting started here at IMS. Dave first has an in-depth look at Roger Penske, the man behind the new regime here at IMS. And our Throwback Thursday goes back 50 years with Al Unser Sr.'s first win. That's all tomorrow night at 7:30 right here on RTV6. All right, back to green. You can kind of hear the action going on behind me right now. They're up over 220 miles an hour. They will stop at 1 o'clock, and the rookies will take over then. Also some refresher laps. Fernando Alonso will be among that group. We'll hear from him coming up tonight on the news at 5. Tony Kanaan will join our day first at 6. We'll see you then. Time for another break. The news at noon continues here on RTV6.
We are working for you to make sure you know the ways you can vote in this year's general election. We've spent the last several weeks examining this issue. The coronavirus pandemic is changing the way many Hoosiers will vote this year. Our Cornelius Hocker has more on where things stand right now for voters and what's in the works.
June 2nd, 2020 was an election day like no other in Indiana history. Coronavirus pushed the election back by a month and cut down on in-person voting places, leading to many frustrations.
I thought I could just come and it would be in and out. There was no social distancing at all.
Election officials across the state ran into similar issues, but voters in the state's most populated county, Marion, felt the change the most. Russell Hollis with the Marion County Clerk's Office says they're going to make sure things are better in November.
We're doing everything that we can to help prevent those long lines.
But so far, Marion County has not announced how many in-person voting places will be open for the general election. With the threat of catching coronavirus, some people may altogether decide to skip voting in person, opting to vote by mail. But as of now, Governor Holcomb isn't making the process easier like he did during the primary election with an executive order.
I have a lot of confidence in not just our election commission, but county by county, 92 counties pulling off our elections.
So if you want to vote by mail, you'll have to go to the Indiana's voter portal. There, you'll see the vote by mail option, which gives you instructions on how to apply for an absentee ballot. That application must be received by your county election office no later than October 22nd. Election officials, however, are recommending you do it sooner rather than later. Finally, if you need help figuring out the process to register and vote, there are groups in the community like the ACLU of Indiana working to make that process easier. I asked them why, and this was their answer.
We wanted to make sure that we can educate people so that they know going into November all of their rights and are able to make their voices heard on Election Day.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, RTV6.
Cornelius, thank you. And you can find information on voter registration and links to get your application to vote by mail at our website, theindychannel.com. Let's now get another check. Your Storm Team 6 forecast. Todd is standing by. And Todd, it's not too sunny outside, but at least it's dry at this hour.
Yeah, you know, it's not the brightest afternoon for us, at least right now, Nicole, but you're right. It's dry. There's no rain out there, and the temperatures are still in the 80s. So if you're thinking about going to the pool, you can go to the pool. Certainly warm enough to jump in the water, but you may not get the best suntan here throughout the day, although we are expecting these clouds to thin out just a little bit as the afternoon progresses, but still fairly overcast as you look for downtown to the north. 78 degrees, that is the current temperature. And if you were up early this morning or outside early this morning, it was pretty comfortable. We had a northerly wind, but you see that wind now has that east-southeasterly component, and that's brought the dew point back up to about 69 degrees, and that's getting into that uncomfortable territory. So it's going to be warm this afternoon, and it's going to be fairly humid across the area as well. A couple locations in the 80s already. Most of us, though, in the upper 70s, including Indianapolis at 78, officially at the airport there. 79 in Greencastle, 76 is the current temperature in Peru. And as these clouds start to thin a little bit, temperatures will climb into the 80s for everybody, going up to anywhere between about 82 to 86 degrees today, depending on where you are. 84 is our average high for this time of year, so it's a seasonable day for us, and then falling back down into the 70s as we work our way into the evening hours. The clouds are a little bit thinner as you work your way to the north. And as we expand out, there are some showers just down to our south, including in the Evansville area. And those are going to try to make their way into southern portions of central Indiana. So Mitchell, Bedford, Seymour, maybe up towards Lake Monroe. There could be a quick passing shower, but nothing more than that. Look at these heavy storms near St. Louis. Those will not impact us here. They'll continue just to weekly dive down to the south. So throughout the course of the afternoon and evening hours, a spot shower chance to the south as the sun starts to set. We should lose the cloud cover, and it turns into a pretty nice evening for us all across the area. Tomorrow should be a really nice day. Get out and about with mostly sunny skies. Temperatures back into the mid-80s. Still about just as humid tomorrow as it is out there right now. And then going forward in the forecast, as we work our way into Friday, that's when some storms return to the area. They should be scattered in nature. Saturday, some scattered storms as well as we deal with qualifications there at IMS. And then the big change will come on Sunday as a cold front comes through. Once that front comes through, it'll bring in below normal temperatures as we work our way into next week. By Tuesday morning, low temperatures will be in the 50s. High temperatures on Tuesday only going to be in the 70s, so a little more of a fall-like feel. The good news is all those days next week with the more comfortable air in place, Nicole, are going to feature lots of sunshine.
All right, Todd, thank you. Well, are you having trouble sleeping during the pandemic? We'll have some tips to help you get some better shut-eye tonight coming up next. You're watching the news at noon on RTV6. If you're having issues falling asleep or staying asleep once you do get there, you are not alone. Doctors are seeing insomnia increase during the COVID-19 pandemic. The problem is we are all dealing with unprecedented, extremely stressful times. That makes going to sleep tough because your mind is running and you're not relaxed. Also, our schedules are out of whack. Doctors say this messes up our circadian rhythms. We're on our phones and computers more now, and the blue light from them also affects our brains. Doctors say you should turn those screens off at least an hour or two before bed. You should also try to stick with a bedtime and morning routine.
It's really important to get light in the morning. So it's a perfect time to try to get a walk or get some exercise if possible, because light is actually the strongest thing that resets our circadian rhythm. So if you get light, you want to get light in the morning, and then you want to avoid light at night.
And as doctors always tell us, exercising often and eating healthier will also help you. It not only will keep your immune system strong, but you'll also find you will sleep much better at night. And Todd, this is advice I sure need to take.
Right, me too, especially when I go to bed, early in the evening and then get up at 3:15 in the morning. And like I said, I always need to put the phone down. I think that's my fatal flaw sometimes. All right, outside right now, temperatures warming around 80 degrees. You get up to 85 today with partly cloudy skies. 85 tomorrow as well. Tomorrow features a little more in the way of sunshine compared to today. Some scattered storms for Friday and Saturday. And then a gray air mass will start to work its way in next week. Monday, the humidity is a lot lower, 81 degrees. By Tuesday morning, 59 degrees. And then a temperature on Tuesday of 76, and we probably keep it in the 70s for Wednesday and Thursday of next week as well. Nicole?
All right, Todd, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. Join us for the news at 5. Have a great afternoon.